No, it takes caring. It takes listening. It takes looking. It takes our most basic attributes and enhances it as a speaker. When you were to talk to me on a one-on-one, guys, this is what you get. I am what I am. And when you can believe in yourself that much and you can be that authentic and be like, you know what? I don't care. If it's not meant for you, it's not meant for you. And that's what you have to remember is going into a room means that you are willing to put yourself aside because you are that credibility. You are that authority and you know what you're talking about. And people want to hear what you have to say. The years that it's taken for you to learn what you are doing is so important to that person in the audience. And think about that one person that you're going to change their life.
Your relationship with money matters. I'm Michelle Perkins, and this is the Money and You podcast, where I will be breaking down your relationship with money, offering tough love money tips, and a money dating plan that will focus on lifting the barriers to success to help pave the way for better money practices and increased wealth. It's time to take control to live a limit-free life. It starts today. Hello, and welcome to the Money and You Show with Michelle Perkins. Excited to have you here today. We have a really fun and kind of unique show. I'm very happy to bring a wonderful guest full of personality. You're going to love Andrea Merrill, and you're going to meet her in just a minute. We're going to talk about some different things. We're going to get into speaking to help monetize your life, your business, and a lot of different areas of psychology and human behavior that Andrea can enlighten us on with respect to money. So let's just go there right now. I just want to let you know I have one new thing. If you would like to go to my website, limitfreelife.com, and sign up for a special newsletter that's going to be coming out from now on either Mondays or Fridays, I haven't decided, on giving everybody a little money mindset tip for the week. So I want to help people continue to connect with their money each week and do a little reminder for you so that you don't lose track of your own relationship with money. So with that said, I'm going to introduce a wildly passionate go-to speaker, speaker, monetization strategist, chief marketing officer who thrives on creating unparalleled marketing strategies rooted in psychology and human behavior. And that is our guest, Andrea Merrill. Beyond that, she is the driving force behind Virtually Adventurous, with a master's in science of psychology, applied behavior analysis, and over 2 decades of expertise. She has a knack for devising psychology-driven marketing blueprints for speakers and change makers, consistently yielding 6-figure plus revenue launches. As a proud mom of 5, married to her high school sweetheart, her mission resonates deeply, bridging the divide between in-person charisma and a compelling digital presence for industry trailblazers worldwide. Welcome, Andrea.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited that you are here. And it's hard to kind of identify who your audience is because it's so broad, I think, these days. I mean, You're talking about coaches, authors, content creators. I mean, at this point, I think everyone out there in business almost is a thought leader, a content creator. So what you do for people really, spans across a greater audience, I think, than ever. In today's world.
It really does. And a lot of people, to be honest, Michelle, don't identify as a speaker, which I think is wild. They think that to be a speaker, you have to be on a stage. And I think what COVID taught us was you're a speaker, whether it is in person or online. And I am here to really debunk that theory around you are truly a speaker in your business, whether that's in person or online digitally, which most of us are having that huge digital presence, or I'm telling you, you should have one.
Yeah, absolutely. And whether we like it or not, pretty much everybody has been forced into having a digital presence. So even my mom and dad were online speaking to their doctors. Like you can't escape it anymore, really.
No.
And whether it's whatever you learn for your digital presence, you can always take into the real life world in networking groups or speaking engagements or whatever. So it's interesting what you say, because people do say, oh, I'm not a speaker, but then they're introducing themselves at a networking event and talking about what they do. I mean, we really are all speaking all the time. I mean, I've had times where I said, well, I'm not really speaking right now, but I do a podcast every week. So, I guess I am.
You're a speaker.
Yeah. But we've got that like in a weird category of the person on the stage out there. So, I love that you're shifting the perspective on that, really.
Yeah, there really should be a shift in that perspective, because even here, I'm considered a speaker. You're a speaker. Anytime that you're speaking to clients, there's a way that you need to go about talking to that client. So I like to say, even when you're starting a business, you're becoming a speaker. That's your first stage presence. Mm-hmm. And then it keeps going on. And if you want to truly monetize and make money, then ultimately you are building up your speaking portfolio, which I think is so important, because we start off with that one-to-one that then turns into more speaking opportunities. And that's truly where the monetization happens. Yeah,
thank you. And, there was a time when we would always talk about, your network is your net worth. And it was all about your relationships. But those relationships can't be built without communicating with people and doing it well. And so really, if you unpack it, it's really about speaking and communication before you can even have relationships, which will then build your business. So it's kind of it's kind of like money, very fundamental to anyone trying to reach any goal.
Yeah, it truly is. And it all have you seen this faceless marketing going around?
I have. I've been intrigued because I think, ooh, that'd be fun to not have to.
I know. And I would love to point out that they are still using their voice to grow and monetize, because they are writing clear content. And not only that, a lot of them do speak, and you hear them speaking throughout the virtual video. So I would even dare to say, even though they're saying that, hey, this is a faceless marketing tactic, it doesn't mean you have to be a good communicator, right? It doesn't mean that you have to be in front of the audience, but you have to clearly communicate and tell them where you want them to go. That's why people are doing so well when they learn how to use their voice and they learn how to effectively communicate. And I believe that's why faceless marketing is doing so well, because it's allowing the person behind the video to truly showcase their authority and their credibility into monetizing from this faceless account.
Yeah, it's really interesting because you're not distracted by there's stuff going on, but there's no distraction of looking at their face. You really are probably almost listening a little more, you're tuned in a little bit more to what they're saying.
It's actually around psychology. I don't know if you are familiar with this, but we process images faster than we process words out of our mouth. Or when we're reading content. So when we hear and our senses are going off with our eyes, then we are able to become more intrigued with what is going on. Psychologically, we are perked up and we want to engage more with this content. So because of that, we are adhering to the correct senses that are then going to turn into conversions. So again, it goes back to that form of, are we communicating clearly? Are we speaking to our audience clearly? Do we know them, and are we driving them towards that offer that we want them to take? And the reason that people get tripped up so much is because they aren't thinking about those details. They're thinking about can I go viral? Can I put out content and hope that it works well? The thing differently that I feel like this faceless marketing is, and I know that's not the whole point of this, but the faceless marketing is they're taking time to really truly understand that customer journey that you're taking someone on. So when you look, for instance, at Amy Porterfield, she has grown massively. She's very big in our network, and she has clearly reached millions and millions of dollars. And it's because she clearly knows her audience, and she's made the right offers, and she's been in lots of speaking opportunities to be able to get her to where she needs to be. So it does start off with, can we clearly talk about our offers?
Yeah, very interesting. So can we backtrack and just, how did you get into this? What is your background, and why are you doing this?
Yes. So my background is I have my master's degree in science of psychology of applied behavioral analysis. I used to be a behavior and trauma therapist for high profile cases here in Arizona. So those worst of the worst cases that you see TV on the news, I would be the first one on scene. Now, I absolutely love doing this. I not only worked with victims, but I also worked with the perpetrators. So I worked in the prison system as well. Wow. I had a near-death experience with my 5th child where I almost died. And I realized that I loved marketing. I've been doing it for over 20 years. I love design. I had so much fun, but I grew up in a generation of, if you aren't a doctor, lawyer, or therapist, then you don't have a real job. And that's what I was thinking was I couldn't make this an opportunity. And little did I know that I was actually in foreclosure. My water was getting turned off, and my HOA was auctioning off my home.
Wow.
And this was so rough. Financially, we were in the worst that we had ever been, and bringing home a 5th child into this was so hard. My husband couldn't work anymore. So I remember our water got turned off, and I cried all the way to the water company in our piece of crap red van that had no AC, so I couldn't bring my baby with me.
Wow.
And I don't know how I got my water turned back on, but I did. And on the way home, I pulled up my big girl panties and I was like, this is it. I'm putting on a podcast. And I made $12,500 in my first 7 days of business. Wow. And that is when I truly saw the power of marketing and the power of using my voice and speaking up.
Wow. I had no idea. That is fascinating. Yeah, people's stories are so interesting to me. I love just hearing the progression of how people get to the careers that they are doing. So there's a lot there. I'd love to go back, since you've had such a devastating financial experience, and since the show is very much about people's relationship with money. Obviously, that was a transformative experience for you in many ways. Yeah. What shift did you have to make in your mind about money?
Oh my gosh, money for me was scary. I thought that I grew up in the household of, I'm going to beg Peter to pay Paul. And I grew up in this Italian household that always spent more money than they had. I've watched my family do this my entire life, and I didn't want to grow up the same way. I also grew up in a very traumatic background. So money that was coming in from drugs and other areas that are not legal. And I was thinking, how am I going to make money as I grow up? And that is why I chose to become a behavior and trauma therapist. And I was moving towards more of a 6 to 7 figure position in what I was doing. And what I realized was I didn't want to grow that corporate ladder. And I wanted to figure out other ways to make money that were A, ethical, and B, sustained a lifestyle that our family had truly wanted. So I needed to shift my perspective of money, of realizing that it wasn't evil, because that's what I was told was people that have money are evil. They don't take care of others. And I'm a very kind and generous person. And what I realized is kind and generous people make a lot of money so that they can give it away, so they can give to charities and help support others. So I had to relook in myself and see who I truly was and what my mission, vision, and values were for my future and for also the future of my children, because I realized that I'm the first cycle breaker in my home. And the biggest cycle break that I wanted to do was around money and transitioning and making a shift in that. Because not only do I come from a household that struggled with money, my husband did as well. So it's been a long journey for the both of us to realize that we are actually better when we have money. We are able to have the life that we desire and deserve versus feeling like we have to constantly be in the negative, that we are bad people if we want more money. So now we spend a lot of time listening to podcasts and reading and having the opportunity to have open conversations around money.
Wow, Andrea, thank you for that. Isn't it crazy that we have to give ourselves all this permission and do a whole shift just to say, okay, it's all right if I have money?
Yeah,
I'm not a bad person.
Wild.
Like, I've been really digging into this, trying to figure out where in the world did that come from? I mean, it's just, it goes so far back and it's so ingrained in most of us. And it's so unfair because the whole system, operates around money. And so you can't create a system that operates around money and say it's bad to have money. Like, that is just so unfair to people. And so I'm more fascinated by it all the time because I hear so many people who feel that way. It is the pervasive feeling that there's something wrong with me if I want money. Meanwhile, you have 5 kids, you have yourself and your husband, you have goals and dreams that require money. I mean, it's just so not making sense.
Yeah.
And yet you have to go through something terrible, or you have to do all the reading and studying to shift it. And I really hope that that's going to change. I hope people can just be like, of course, I should have money, and I will do great things with my money when I have it. And, or even if you just want to go on a lot more vacations, I mean, there's just way too much judgment around the whole thing.
Oh, there is. And we judge ourselves every single day. And it's the judgment that we put on ourselves that we think making, and they're truly not. It's more of our mindset that has to shift and change. We don't have to be the product of our environment, of us growing up, and believe that, hey, we're not good enough, and this is what our family has taught us and showed us. And we don't have to say yes to that. We can make the changes and feel excited about it. I'm excited to be a multimillionaire. I'm excited that I'm helping my clients make millions. I've helped them make over $80 million in revenue.
Wow.
So I am very proud around money.
That's amazing. That's a big number. So, all right. Well, let us into the secret. What have you been doing to help these people make that much money?
Yes. So it's all around monetization. And I think it's them also understanding and realizing that you have to monetize from your stage, whether that's in person or online. And I'll keep saying that because so many people, like I said, believe that it's just a stage. You don't have to be like Tony Robbins. You just have to be willing to put yourself out there and put together an offer that is going to sell. And I think that that's really important to remember. So what I help my clients do is create an irresistible brand that then leads into a psychology-driven website with really sexy copy that leads into a funnel that then leads into their offering. And then we're recreating that funnel to keep leading into other offerings that they have. And this is how we get started. This is considered a brand foundation that every single person should have if you own a business. And this is what's going to help you monetize no matter if you jump on a podcast, right? You're jumping on a podcast. You want to offer something. You, by golly, better have a freebie to get people on your email list because you have to start somewhere. And if you're putting yourself out there and you're networking, you're speaking, you're in front of an audience and you are not getting an opportunity to get emails, then you are doing yourself and your audience a disservice. And I will say that till I'm blue in the face. So many people think that either A, they're so cool because they're speaking, but then they have no way of giving them an opportunity to work or learn from them. And you're doing your audience a disservice. And then you have B, that you're willing to get up there and you're excited and you're happy. But then again, you're losing them when you don't have a way to be able to give them a way to work with you. So I think it's really important to think about your audience that you're speaking in front of and that you are building and growing and that you're not just going on a stage just to go on a stage.
Yeah, very important. So when you're talking about this, are you saying pick your audience? Are you saying make sure you're only speaking to the people you should be speaking to, or are you saying something else?
Yeah. So I think a lot of people go in front of an audience that doesn't make sense. The reason that I said yes to your podcast is it's dealing with money. I've worked through my money issues. I'm constantly, right? That's not ever going to go away. I'm working on my money mindset. I'm working with my clients around money. Why wouldn't I say yes to an opportunity to be on a podcast that's talking about money? That is a no-brainer, right? But then you have a fitness trainer that thinks it's cool to be on some random health. Right? Mm-hmm. Let's say they are a holistic fitness trainer and they're going on a medical health. Well, that's not going to make sense because a lot of people are listening to them because it's around medical advice and not around holistic. So you really have to figure out who is your audience and who are you speaking to. And one other thing, this isn't out there, but I was on CNN. I was on the Anderson Cooper show. And the reason that I said yes to this, and let me say, I don't talk about politics or religion. These are big no-nos that I don't like to talk about around my business. I really don't talk about it around people that I know. But the reason that I said yes to going on CNN was because A, it was going to show how I could speak, and B, it would show my authority and credibility that would show how powerful I was. And then C, it shows my mission, my vision, and my values. And that is extremely important to anybody that I would work with. So if they are intrigued by what I'm speaking about on CNN and being on national news, then I think that that's really important to say yes to. But I had to put a lot of thought into saying yes to that before I did it.
Wow. I love how discerning you are, because, that I think to most people would be kind of like a no-brainer. CNN calls and you go. Yeah, I love the intentionality that you have around everything. And I think that's, especially when business owners are starting and, you are nervous about earning any money and getting your revenue up. And so it's kind of like grab anything, speak anywhere. Yeah. And now, would you say that because that's kind of a natural thing, but would you say don't even do that at the beginning? I'm looking back at my own life and I'm thinking of all the things I probably didn't need to do that didn't really help me because they weren't in front of the right people.
So, no, I would say, okay, so if it is not aligned with what you do, say no.
Okay.
do not say yes, because it's not going to push you further or faster. The whole point of speaking and using your voice in front of the right audience is going to push you further and faster. There are, for instance, I did one on how I landed the $12,500 in my first 7 days of business. That led to people that wanted me to mentor them and help them. I just started business myself. I don't want to be a mentor and I didn't want to be a coach, but I did say yes to that opportunity to get in front of an audience. It wasn't the right audience for me. If I was to go back, you know what? I probably would do it because that's an inspirational piece that I can continue to use till this day. So again, you have to think about why you said yes and what are you talking about? Do you want it to be an inspirational piece that you can send out? Is it a top name that you are really intrigued by that could be beneficial in the future? You can say yes. But if it is not your right audience and not your right intention, I would just say no and keep moving along.
Yeah. Okay. I think saying no is really, people learn that down the road after they've, gotten frustrated or stuck, but it's so important.
This is the perfect time to say there are 7,500 speaking events that get put out every single day.
Wow. Okay.
So saying no does not mean saying no to every other type of opportunity that's out there. And this is actually proven statistics that I really love. So you have 7,500 opportunities daily to say yes to.
Wow. Okay. That's really interesting. Very curious about that. Okay, let's talk to people who don't feel comfortable speaking, who feel like, oh my gosh, if I have to speak in my business or my job or whatever, I want to do something else. How do you get comfortable with it? I have my own, I understand it because I was very uncomfortable. I was the person who said, as long as I work in an area where I don't have to do public speaking, I'm good. I can do anything else. So, and I've grown to enjoy it, partly out of necessity, but partly out of just all of a sudden, the revelation that, okay, all the stuff that I was worried about before, I'm just not as worried about anymore. But is it just practice? Are there tips and techniques people need to know? I mean, how do you get to a place where you start feeling more confident?
Yeah, I think it's really important to feel confident. And when you don't feel confident, you can't show up the way that you want to. And also, it's important to know that you're going to mess up and trip up the first few hundred times. Let's say 100, right? Like if you keep doing it, then eventually you're going to stand here and be excited and be able to be confident. Now, I'm an introvert. You're probably thinking, oh my God, there's no way, but I am. I love sitting in my little corner all alone, reading a good book or watching a good TV show and doing nothing and everybody leaving me alone. Like, don't talk to me. So it took me quite some time to really show up with confidence. And all it is practice. And I believe that you need to do what you need to do is practice. You need to put yourself out there. That's doing a live every week. That's maybe even recording yourself on Zoom and seeing your face in front of you. If you don't want to do it in front of other people, you can also ask others, get on networking opportunities and be able to speak. It's not long. It's about 30 seconds most of the time if you introduce yourself. But keep practicing and realize what comes up for you. So people can black out. People can get really sweaty palms. People can get very scatterbrained. People trip over their own words. You'll have filler words like or like there are tons of filler words out there that you tend to use all the time. So pay attention to what you're doing. And a lot of the time when you are doing that, all it means is slow down. You don't have to speed up. You slow down, which means you get to go further faster again, because we don't have to do everything at a super fast pace. Most people think they do so they can go faster, but actually it slows you down by doing that. And then the last thing that I would say is find coping skills for yourself. So if there's a song that you really love, a hype up song, listen to it before you get on stage or before you get into a summit, before you have to talk, before you get on a podcast. Like, just find ways that help you self-soothe, because that's going to help you get into your element. And then also you can review content that you've created, because we know our stuff, and a lot of people just go through imposter syndrome and they think that something might come up that they don't know the answer to, and that's okay too. So all people want is authenticity. They want to know that you care. They want to know your true, honest answer. And if you don't know it, that's okay. Be like, you know what? I don't know it. And that's a great question. And you know what? I'm going to go do my research on that. And more people are going to be more excited for that than you just trying to come up with an answer and fumbling over your own words.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I was just listening. It was actually a health podcast, and Lisa Bilyeu, I'm not sure if I'm saying her name right, was talking, and she was talking about her early speaking experience, and she was going on a big stage for the first time. And she was talking about how it was all energy. So she was like in her head saying, you know, what am I going to do if I just flub up? And she decided, which I think was a smart decision, that whatever she did, the audience was going to do. So if she freaked out or froze or, you know, got all tense, they were going to do the same. They were going to get tense and be like all, you know, kind of standoffish. But if she just laughed, you know, they would laugh too and just go with it. And I thought that was because so much of it is an energetic thing. And I have found that for sure one-on-one. I mean, you know, probably just because my experience is more one-on-one, but if you go in with a certain energy or make decisions about the energy you're going to bring into the room, it gets matched. And it really works. So I always used to use that in networking, or when people go on job interviews, I remind them that some of it's what you're saying, a lot of it's just your energy and whether people feel they can connect. What would you say about that?
Oh, absolutely. Connection is probably one of the utmost important pieces. I was just in Vegas and spoke on stage, and I had a smaller amount of people within my room. And I actually love that because I was able to match their energy and bring energy to them. And not only that is I got them involved, and they were so excited to be involved that at first there was one person chiming in, and then there was two, and then there was 5, and then there was 10. And it was so cool to see that not only was I speaking and helping support them, I was matching their energy, and I was bringing forth those receptors in their brain, helping them think deeper, helping them go through my talk even better. So I think that that's really important. And then we have nonverbal cues that you can look at. So when you are speaking, look at the audience and look at those nonverbal cues. Like, I love the head nods and the yeah. And, you know, they're not talking, but you are getting energy from them by them showing of interest. So don't be so stuck in your own head or in your talk. Pay attention to the audience. Even online, we can see the audience and how they are. Match that energy and level it up. Like, one of my best friends told me, she listened to one of my talks and she's like, oh, Andrea's taking us to church. And it is because I was literally watching the audience in so much excitement that they were hanging on every word that I was saying.
That's great. Yeah. And, I think for people listening, they might be thinking, if they haven't done it much, they might be thinking, well, I don't know how to, lift up a room. I mean, that just sounds really intimidating, but it doesn't actually take that much. Sometimes it just, what would you say about what it takes to do that?
No, it takes caring. It takes listening. It takes looking. It takes our most basic attributes and enhances it as a speaker. When you were to talk to me on a one-on-one, guys, this is what you get. I am what I am. And when you can believe in yourself that much and you can be that authentic and be like, you know what? I don't care. If it's not meant for you, it's not meant for you. And that's what you have to remember is going into a room means that you are willing to put yourself aside because you are that credibility. You are that authority and you know what you're talking about. And people want to hear what you have to say. The years that it's taken for you to learn what you are doing is so important to that person in the audience. And think about that one person that you're going to change their life. You're absolutely going to take them from being broke, don't know how to pay their next bill. They just got enough money to go to this convention and you're there, or they just got enough money to sign up for this summit, or they just got enough and you come on. And even if you aren't matching my type of energy, everybody has their own speaker sounding. It's about owning what you know and changing that one person's life. That's what speaking is all about. It's about building. It's about building other people up so that they can go further faster. And as a speaker, that's what we get to do. We get to hit all of the ripple effects of the people that we get to touch.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So let's go talk for a minute about paid speaking. Is that something that you work with people on? If people are
absolutely
like, I love the idea of speaking, but I'd like to get paid for my talks. When is a good time for that? And how do you help people do that?
Absolutely. So when you are ready to get paid, I would say you have done quite a few. So when I say quite a few, you've done at least 5 to 10 stages and you have raving reviews. So this is really important. A lot of people don't go back. They're not polling their audience. They're not asking the people that put on the event to submit a testimonial. So please get those. And then that means that you are becoming sought after, because I was speaking to a woman who was like, I'm just going to do 2 paid speaking events every quarter. 2 turned into 4. 4 turned into 8.
Wow.
Do you see the ripple effect here? So it is actually about getting on that stage and then having the people in the audience hire you. So that is how I got my Vegas event. I got paid for that. And when I just got heard on a summit online that then turned into a paid speaking event in Vegas. So it's really important to remember that you have things to show because you want a speaker profile. And that speaker profile is what I was talking about, is having how many talks you have, having testimonials, even having a speaker reel that you can create very short, even by yourself. You can do this. And then you're able to pitch them. So when you are pitching, you are able to then pitch how much you cost, send over your speaker website page, have a one-sheeter, and then you're also going to, within that page, that is where you're going to have those testimonials, what you talk on. You should absolutely have a keynote talk. And then for podcasts, most of the time, you're not getting paid for those. You should do those for free. And then what you're doing is you're able to get in front of bigger audiences, again, go further, faster. And then you're able to give out your speaker profile on all these other areas within free events that turn into paid speaking events. And then one of my clients got paid $50,000 to speak on stage. And that's because he's been in his business for 20 plus years. He spoke on over 20 stages. And then also he's very well known within his audience. So that one niche that I was talking about. So when you become very well known for that one place, that one audience, they're going to know you and they're going to want to hire you.
Wow, amazing. So, so as far as monetizing, there's actually getting paid to speak, and then there's just speaking well enough so that you're able to sell whatever product or service you sell.
So
am I missing
a lot of people, no, a lot of people think that it's so cool that they became paid speakers, but little do they know is it doesn't end there. And that's why you should have monetization added in, because you shouldn't just be thinking about paid speaking events. You should be thinking about how can I monetize from each of these events. I had one of my other clients, we did a simple funnel very quickly, actually on the way to a conference, and she made over $3,000 in a weekend. And that's because we set an intention before we got there. Now, granted, this was very quick, last minute, but you can do it. And not only that, is she also got paid to be there and all accommodations paid. So that was a huge win for her. And that's what I'm talking about. It's about turning a $50,000 speaking event into a $150,000 speaking event. So we should always be thinking, how can we monetize from this event beyond your speaker fees?
Okay. Yeah, that's great. And, just for people who may not be super clear on what a funnel is, can you just give an example?
Yeah. So this means that you're giving a really good freebie that then leads into 7 emails. I like to do 7 emails. So we're doing 2 welcome. We're doing 2 nurture. Well, 2, 4. Yep. And 3 sales. 3 sales emails. And then we are having people run through those. And then at the end in our sales emails, that is when we are sending them an offer to be able to sign up for. And then when we are talking about the funnel that I was just talking about with my friend, what I did with her, well, she's a friend and a client. What I did with her was we did a trip funnel. So what we did was we got them on with a free, we wanted them on there. And then after that, then the next day after 24 hours, we sent them the offer. And then we sent up follow-up offers to be able to get them into the sequence and get them to buy.
Okay. Yeah. Very interesting. So, I mean, if people haven't heard some of these terms, I mean, this is kind of the way digital marketing is done. And you can explain that to people, obviously. You know exactly how this all works. I just love this topic because not only can you use this, I mean, you can build a business and this can be your career, but are people doing some speaking as a side gig, as something additional in their life?
Absolutely. I believe that I'm even doing speaking as a side gig, which is turning more into a full time as I'm getting asked to speak more. And I think it's because nobody's ever heard of a speaker monetization strategist. This is something that isn't well known or well talked about. And I really don't know anybody that's offering this service aside from me. So I think that that's why I'm being asked a lot. But speaking speaking does not have to be your primary, but it is an excellent way to get people into your audience, into your special place of the internet, and to get people into your offerings. So I think that that's something really smart to remember, that you don't have to do this full time, but I absolutely think speaking should be at the forefront of what you are doing to get in front of new audiences.
Right. And, we're almost out of time here, but I just have to ask this question because when entrepreneurs start, they often give a lot away for free. They speak for free. They go to networking groups and, they speak for free. They do all kinds of things. They give a lot of free consultations and free discovery strategy calls. And so you kind of get in that mode and then your money mindset pops in and you get kind of uncomfortable changing that up and asking for, money for some of these things. So I think people wait a really long time if they ever do it. Do you have any comment on that?
Yeah, we don't need freebie chasers, guys. We need people that are truly interested in your offers. And if you are offering so many free consultations and nothing is coming from them, then you have to switch up your strategy. So the way that I go about it is I do a 15-minute call, and I never offer this to people that I'm speaking in front of. When I speak in front of my audience, I'm offering them my 50K email swipe files that land in my clients $50,000 in 2 days. That is all I am offering, and that is extremely valuable because it literally landed my clients 50 grand. So I know how valuable it is, but I also know that I want to help and support my audience. So do not overthink it and do not give your time away for free. Your time is extremely valuable, and you have to think about your time as being either ROI or your time investment, right? So if your time investment of speaking and now you're offering them a free consultation with you, all you're doing is tons of free consultations, free speaking, and all you're telling the universe is send me lots of free gifts, lots of free stuff. That's what I want. So we're going to say no to that, and you are going to say yes to one solid freebie that then can take them down that feel free to go grab my emails, guys. You can use that for your freebie. That is totally fine. That leads to your offer. And now you have something to give when you are on these summits, when you're on these podcasts, when you are getting in front of it on a stage, when you're in webinars, wherever the heck you are speaking. Now you have something tangible that doesn't take away from your time, because your time is extremely valuable. So do not offer free consultations or free strategy calls, because all you're saying is, I want free stuff. And I know good and darn well you don't want free.
Well, Andrea, thank you so much. This time went so fast. I love your energy and I love everything you're saying here. And it should be, instead of being intimidating, it really should be heartening for people to know that just speaking, just using your voice, whether it's in front of one person or 100 people or 1,000 people, that can make you a great deal of money, because you're able to communicate what your expertise is, what that people, can be helped by or need. So
absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. Please let people know. Virtually Adventurous, is that your podcast name?
So it's called Pitch to Stage is my podcast name. And then I have my brand is Virtually Adventurous, and you can find me at virtuallyadventurous.com, and then Virtually Adventurous from all social media outlets as well too.
Okay, great. And if they go to your website, which is virtuallyadventurous.com, they can get your freebies. They can just read more about you. Is there a way to contact you directly?
Yeah, so you can email me at hello@virtuallyadventurous.com. And I look forward to helping and serving you guys. I'm super excited I love money, and I love helping my speakers make lots of money.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. And people,
Michelle.
We live in a world where people like to listen. I mean, the podcast movement has shown People love to get information in this manner, by listening.
Yeah.
It's great. So, Andrea, thank you for everything that you're doing, and thank you for being here on the show. Really appreciate your time.
So much, Michelle. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, listeners, for being here. We love having you on the Money and You show. And please share the show with a friend. If you know anybody who you think would benefit, the more shows that get shared, the better, and the more wonderful guests like Andrea we can have on. Thank you, UBN Go, for broadcasting the show. You can find the show on all the podcast platforms, on the Limit Free Life YouTube channel, and on Roku, and pretty much we're all over the place out there. And so we love it when you show up, and we will be here every week to serve you in a variety of ways and to help you create and build a wonderful relationship with money that can bring you the freedom and choice you want so you can live a limit-free life. See you next week.